Hello, it's Natalie here. I've got a special video diary to do today, which is basically celebrating a year without psychosis or schizoaffective disorder. So it's really good celebration. I think so anyway. I'm feeling quite happy today because yesterday marked basically a year since the voices went away from my head, and that, other than a couple of blips here and there in November last year and October last year, I haven't been hearing voices and having psychosis symptoms or schizoaffective disorder symptoms, and I'm really pleased about that, really happy about that, and I want to maintain that and keep it that way. So I see that as a real turning point in my life, a real improvement in my mental health, and it's sort of, I had to do a video about that because it's really worth celebrating. I'm really chuffed about that, and I think it could help me rewire my brain and become a more confident, articulate, less socially anxious person because of a mixture of not having psychotic breakdowns several times a year anymore, and not being on such a high dose of medication. So last year in May I had my last real psychotic episode, and it was sort of a schizoaffective disorder relapse because I got diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder in 2012 in December by a psychiatrist, and basically on and off from 2012, sometimes up to 4 times a year, 3 times a year, I would have psychotic breakdowns and hear voices, have emotional extremes, be very childish in my behaviour and primitive, and not be able to function in the world at all, and have to basically be looked after by my mum. So what do I put the psychosis down to? Well, the reason why I've not had it for over a year and 1 day is, what do I put that down to? Personally, I think it's because my relationship with the voices in my head changed over the years. From 2018 there was a change in me, a turning point where I no longer wanted the voices in my head at all. I didn't see them as friends anymore, and they become a nuisance in my life, and I didn't want them in my head, and I thought they were more damaging than good, really. So my relationship with the voices changed, and I thought that they were trouble, really. So basically a turning point was before 2018, like I already mentioned, me no longer seeing the voices the same way, but from 2017 I still wanted them to be my friends and have them in my head, but also I started to find the voices a nuisance and didn't want them interfering with my life, because back then I was trying to complete my master's degree in animation, and I felt the voices were interfering with that. I still believe that prayer and the prayers being answered for me of wanting my psychosis and the voices to go away was answered. I still believe that it was answered. I'm not Christian anymore, that's not my religion. I don't want to have a strict religion or faith anymore, but I still believe in God, and I still believe in that there's a God. And then I moved into this new house, the room that I'm in now. And I also put that down to improving my mental health as well. My living independently in Middlemore Road in supported housing. I think it was almost like it happened for a reason, me having that psychotic episode, because I broke my toe in May last year during the psychosis, and that was voice related, trying to find a way to cope with hearing the voices, which was a bit counterproductive because I broke my toe in 3 places. But from that experience, it cemented my desire not to hear them anymore and not have psychosis anymore and hear the voices. They weren't my friends. They were really horrible to me. I think that was a turning point for me from that psychotic breakdown, that it made me realise I don't want to hear that in my head, have that in my head anymore. So and I believe that my faith in God and my growing as a person through living in independent living and my changing attitude towards the voices has all 3 of them things has helped me overcome it. But it's early days yet. I mean, I do worry that the psychosis could come back, and I get really quite worried about that, and I don't want to hear them again in my head. Yeah, so it's another reason for me to celebrate. So it's personally, I think it's a celebration of a year not having psychosis and schizoaffective disorder, and may it continue and may it keep being the case and it won't regress.